Salam, salam. You're, I'm sure everybody's thinking the same thing if you're tuning in or you've been with us here on the block. We believe in signs of the end times. I'm going to just say it straight lace. You know, I do believe pretty soon all of the religious people of the nation will soon find some way to be round up or even is being discriminated against already. To be godly is strange, to be worldly is righteous. This is the largest recorded earthquake ever. They're saying one of the largest, but come on. This is 8.8 magnitude with tsunami warnings. This is an update on the story. It was a while ago we covered this.
Here at 7-Eleven on the East Coast, we do want to get back to the very latest of that massive earthquake that triggered a global tsunami warnings. Take a look at your screen, the latest video that has been compiled from across the globe. Tsunami waves continue across the Pacific this Wednesday after impacting Hawaii, and they begin to slam the coasts of Washington, California, and Oregon early this Wednesday morning. In California, a tsunami with a 3.6-foot wave amplitude was reported in Crescent City, with a 3-foot wave amplitude in Arena Cove. A 1.6-foot wave amplitude was reported in Point Reyes, and a 1.4-foot wave amplitude was reported in Monterey. And as we are discussing California, I want to share with you the very latest from the National Weather Service San Diego. They put this out on X early this Wednesday. They say the first tsunami waves have reached La Jolla shores as of 1:45 a.m., registering around 0.36 feet.
I'm sitting here trying to get custody of my daughter, and she damn near about to get taken out by a tsunami. You feel me? Part of California I'm at is a little bit, you know what I mean? We got, you know what I mean? San Diego is water.
For areas upstream, the first waves haven't been the biggest, with arrival of additional waves for 6 or more hours after the initial wave. So just providing some context with that. We also have the very latest from the National Weather Service Bay Area on X as well. They say same story with San Francisco, where we are now seeing tidal swings of 2 to 2.5 feet in as little as 15 minutes. They can create some seriously dangerous currents along beaches and harbors. It's just a good idea to stay away from the water today. Great advice there. And as we are discussing the Bay Area, I want to give you a live look there. 7:12 here on the East Coast, 4:13 Pacific time, and you can see a live look at the waterways. Just want to provide that live look for you so you can see what many are calling the calm before the storm. And as we continue to get the latest from the National Weather Service, we now transition to the National Weather Service Los Angeles on X, as they say the Port St. Louis gauge shows a rapid and damaging surge going from
War everywhere, famine, these foods, not only these little basic American needs, because we got so much land that we could grow, but us being subservient to modern civilization, these stores is closing down. People don't even know how to grow food or hunt, let alone all the starvation going across the world. These GMOs, this fake foods being grown, that's famine.
low to high tide in just a few minutes. They say do not return to inundated areas as waters will recede, but could return multiple times through the next 24 hours, and the first wave may not be the largest.
I ain't gonna lie, this is a popping ass time to be alive, son. It's like there's so much going on. I feel like we about to get superpowers or some shit.
We are discussing that from the LA area. We do have this live look. It takes us out to the Santa Monica Pier, giving you a live look there. Now, we're also getting the very latest from areas including Seattle. Their National Weather Service putting out an alert on X as well. They say, quote, we continue to see tsunami waves arrive along the coast as well as Strait of Juan de Fuca. Reminder, do not attempt to go to the shore to observe the tsunami waves. Great advice there. As we know, onlookers like to get that close look, but it's not the safest. They go on to say, quote, keep away until local officials say it is safe to return. And speaking of Seattle,
I got an idea. How about all these people that think they gods? How about y'all, you know what I'm saying, calm the earth down, soothe her out? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
and then we'll take one question from each of the media outlets. Thank you. Sir?
Hey, good evening, aloha, and thank you for your patience. Hey, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center has downgraded the forecast from a tsunami warning to a tsunami advisory. The PTWC continues to monitor for more data to update its forecast and for an all clear that they may issue later on. A tsunami advisory means that the potential for strong currents or dangerous waves are expected or occurring for those in or near the water. There may be flooding of beach or harbor areas. Those who have evacuated may safely return.
I just see something down there. Welfare over fathers over there. One of them channels I'm subscribed to. We're going to dive into that pretty soon.
Home based on county assessments and directives. I'll turn it over to Mr. Barros now for some public health and safety guidelines.
Here at 7-Eleven on the East Coast, we do want to.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Just Allison Chinchar. Allison, thank you for being with us. I know you've been following this overnight. Can you just start with sort of where things stand in terms of the actual weather and wave movement?
It's simple. You can take whatever job comes along, or you can train for the career.
Yeah, so let's take a look at some of the higher numbers that we've been able to pick up over the last few hours. Looking at some of these numbers, these are the wave heights from the tsunami that have come in. And we've had several surrounding Hawaii that have been around the 1 to 3 foot wave height range. And remember, that's going to be above what the water level would normally be. But in Hawaii, we have had 4 and 5 foot waves recorded. So again, this is pretty significant. That's going to push that water into streets and parking lots, especially the ones that are going to be right there along the shore and along the beaches, not necessarily too far inland, which is why the folks tell you to go as far inland and up as you can possibly go. One thing to note though, so here you can see kind of the normal ebb and flow, just these tiny little bumps right through there. Then you really start to see it go. It almost kind of mimics what a seismograph would look like if you were looking at an earthquake, where you can see the ups and the downs. Now, the bigger ones were these first initial few waves. Now we're starting to see things kind of level back off. It is not back down to normal yet, but we are starting to see those wave heights coming back down. This taken from one of the observation sites in Maui into Hawaii. As of right now, the only spot that we still have a tsunami warning in place is this small section of orange color you can see on the map here. This is portions of Northern California. Everywhere else, the Aleutian Islands, portions of Canada, the rest of the West Coast, and even Hawaii are now down to a tsunami advisory, meaning the threat has started to lower just a little bit for those areas. The reason the orange color is still here for portions of Northern California is because the bathymetry of this coastline is a little bit different, making them more prone, more susceptible to some of those more potent waves that will kind of come in and crash.
It's real rocky up there. It's rocky, hilly. It's not like sandy beaches. It's like Seattle type,
along the
East Coast type
shore line right there. So that is in effect still as a warning and is likely going to stay that way for at least a little bit longer. Essentially how we got here. Okay. So this red dot, this represents the 8.8 magnitude quake that we had. Not all earthquakes trigger tsunamis. It has to be on the correct type of fault. It has to be a large earthquake. It has to be a shallow earthquake. A lot of things have to come together.
That is on the easternmost part of Russia. So east that is almost west. Remember, there'll be a gargantuan earthquake in the east. It's going to be one in the west.
For an earthquake to even trigger a tsunami in the first place. But once the tsunami does take place, what typically happens is the water gets pushed out in one direction. And you can see that here. And then those waves will continue to propagate outwards, in this case, going south and eastward, away from the epicenter of the earthquake. The one thing to note is that we can actually time those arrival times for the waves pretty accurately. You start to see 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, even 15 hours later, we know exactly when those waves are going to arrive. And this was the timeline that we were given roughly 12 hours ago, shortly after the earthquake happened, of when to expect some of these tsunami waves. This is good. It allows folks to prepare. It allows folks to evacuate and get where they need.
I took my mother to Laguna Beach the other day, out in Orange County. I was just telling her like the beach is beautiful. She's like, yeah, it's scary. I'm like, that water could just come up and eat you alive.
To go to be in a safe location. Then from here on out, it's not just one wave though, and this is very important. Picture yourself when you take a rock or a stone and you drop it down into the water. It creates ripples. Well, there's never just one ripple, there's multiples, and that's going to be the same case with these tsunamis. You're going to have multiple waves. And there's a common misconception that the first wave is absolutely the worst. In some cases, that's not. It could be the second, it could be the third wave that comes through before you finally start to see some of the stronger waves and the higher waves come in. So it's very important to note that this is likely going to go on for a few hours, even after the initial wave pushes in. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that this was a very shallow earthquake. We mentioned it was an 8.8 magnitude, but it was only 13 miles deep. And I know when you think about 13 miles all the way.
Thank God it wasn't that deep and encrusted within the earth, because it would have been biblical.
Way down into the Earth's crust, that actually seems like that would be very far down. But when you talk about earthquakes, when you talk about subsequent tsunamis, 13 miles is actually very shallow. In fact, technically speaking, anything that is less than 44 miles deep is considered a shallow earthquake. So again, this is one of the concerns here, because what happens is that
Thank you.
that water gets displaced from the earthquake. It first goes down, and then you start to have those waves begin to push all of that water on shore. This is what the concern was. Now, thankfully, based off of this rendering here, we did not have anything this severe, not only across portions of Hawaii, but even across other areas like Japan, portions of Canada.
Okay, everybody could get their fingers uncrossed and go back to being evil.
Canada, Alaska, we did not see these very high volumes of water, which is very good to know. But we do still have some areas getting 3, 4, and even 5-foot wave measurements because of the tsunami that came through.
And Allison, one thing, can help us understand the difference between the warning and the advisory. I think this weather season, between tornadoes, the flooding in Texas, people are probably a little more cognizant of what it means to be warned of fast moving weather.
Right. So in this particular instance, a tsunami warning typically means that your wave heights, the ones that we are forecasting, are going to be a higher number. So it could be 3 feet versus 5 feet. It could be 1 foot versus 3 feet. So in this instance, an advisory versus a warning, the folks that are under the warning are going to expect slightly higher numbers for those wave heights than the folks that are under the advisory. Or in the instance of Hawaii, they were at a warning level, but now that we're starting to see those wave heights come back down, they've been brought back down to an advisory level, meaning they are still going to expect some waves, but not at the original height.
Stay away from the beaches, the shores.
That they were when they were under the warning.
All right. CNN meteorologist Allison Chinchar will.
Yeah, man, some deep shit going on, man. What a time that we live in. What y'all think about it in the comments, man? We living in the end times. Is the Savior coming? Is there a Savior? Will we save ourselves? Abdul the Abbott back at it, and this is Black Light News. Thank you for showing up.